So it falls to me to close the sessions, but I suppose the most important thing to say is there's not really a close, because as we've been hearing tonight, this whole process is open-ended. Our own climate conversations process and the task of dealing with climate change. Now maybe it's an open-ended process in which we're falling off a cliff very slowly, as Tommy says, and we're flailing about frantically, but I think that anyone who's worked on this issue over the years realizes that, you know, we'd hate to kind of wake up and realize that it wasn't too late and we hadn't done anything about it. So I think that's the spirit in which we're acting. But we have to remember in all this that we're in this for the long haul. And one observation which I want to share with you is actually from someone who many people associate as a climate skeptic, and I certainly think he's someone who hasn't necessarily been the most positive influence on climate action, as Professor Richard Tall, the economist. But I think he said something very important, and I have to paraphrase because I couldn't find the original. If we're going to decarbonize our economy and our society, it's going to take 50 to 100 years. It's not going to happen tomorrow. We have to start tomorrow, start yesterday, but it's not going to happen overnight. If you take a 50 to 200 years timeline, think of how many elections are going to happen in that period. 10, 20, 30 elections. And we have to win them all. I'm not saying any one party has to win them, but the people who want to keep on the path of decarbonization have to win each and every one of those elections. Every government elected has to be committed to decarbonization. Now, that's to reduce it down to a question of who's in government, which is reductive, because obviously government are only one actor. But really what it's saying is that we need, over a long period of time, over an extended period of decades, to create and maintain the demand and support for the agenda of dealing with climate change. And that is an awesome task when you put it in that sense. I mean, who can win 20 elections in a row? No one has ever done it, as far as I'm aware. So if we think about it in those terms, you start to realize this is for everybody. This is something that has to involve all sectors of society. And that's really what we've been trying to do with this collaboration. By bringing these partners together, is to show that there is the possibility of collaboration on this issue. And that possibility of collaboration creates a sense of possibility. If we can work together, then we can do it. And I suppose the closing message I really want to offer today is that there is no alternative to collaboration. Self-righteousness will not work. Individual virtue will not work. Collaboration is the only thing that will work. And this series of events has been a testament to collaboration. And I think it's important to say that if we'd all come together as a series of partners and agreed on everything straight out and just, everything had worked perfectly, I don't think we would have learned very much, and I don't think that the collaboration would have been that valuable. One of the things that's really important about collaboration is you start to understand what are your partner's sticking points? What are the things they don't agree with you on? And where are they coming from? What are the values that really prevent them from immediately agreeing that there's only one right thing to do and what you said must be done and that's the way to solve the problem? So I would say the collaboration has been extremely valuable from that point of view, from 2 points of view. One, we can work together. It's a diverse series of partners: Ibec, ICTU, Trócaire, Christian Aid, the environmental pillar, and ourselves as the climate gathering. But we've also learned a lot about what are the values, what are the sticking points, what are the issues that need to be overcome. And these are, as Paula said earlier, this is going around in circles. This will have to go around in circles over many years. So the purpose of these series was to create and model a safe space where people can be heard, but also to listen respectfully. And a safe space does not mean a space without uncomfortable opinions, uncomfortable views. That's an echo chamber. A safe space is somewhere where you can hear the uncomfortable views, you can challenge each other, but you don't need to stop working together at the end of it. So, as a group of partners and as the climate gathering, we're going to continue the work in various ways. There's a number of things that the partners are doing, which I'd just like to alert you to. Trócaire are having a big climate justice conference in the summertime, and it's going to feature Bill McKibben, and it should be a very interesting event. Live Earth is coming up on June 18th, which is about putting public pressure on in the lead up to the Paris talks. The Irish Congress of Trade Unions are having their conference in July, and they're actually, I think for the first time, debating 2 motions on climate change, which I think is very interesting. Teresa has already mentioned the project the Environmental Pillar are working on about getting collaboration at a local level. And I just mentioned the email address that Teresa said again, irishtransition@gmail.com. From our point of view in the climate gathering, we've offered that our website, climategathering.org, will serve as a clearinghouse or a central place for all of these initiatives, happenings and events to be publicized. And as Chris mentioned, all of the various views that we've gathered through these 5 climate conversations will be compiled and will be available at the Climate Gathering website. And then, I mean, looking a bit more broadly and a bit more ambitiously, there's a process that's going to start very soon, which is looking at an economic plan for Ireland for the next 5 years, and the National Economic and Social Council are involved in that. How can you look at an economic plan for Ireland without looking at the role of climate within that? So I think there's a really good opportunity at this point in time for us to take away all the various different thoughts, ideas, lessons that we may have encountered during this process, either in these auditoriums or in conversations with people afterwards. And to really use that ourselves to think about, well, what can I do? And I was asked to finish on the note of asking you in the audience to think about, well, what can I do? And throwing it back out to the audience. But through listening to the piece earlier where Chris invited views from the audience, my sense is that everyone is already in that space. Everyone more or less understands, and it's exactly what Tommy said as well. This is all about us. We're not separate from the problem, and the environment is not separate from us. We all have a role to play, and we are the ones who can make this happen through collaboration. So I'm going to close these 5 climate conversations. I'm going to ask Paul Meade, who's my brother, but also the artistic director of Goonanduma Theatre Company, to close the session with a poem. But first of all, I just want to formally close these sessions and thank you all sincerely for your attention and for your attendance at these events. Thank you very much.